Today I will review a movie named Atonement. In 1935, in the hot afternoon, in a rich campus in suburban of London, England, the little 13-year-old girl, Briony Tallis, was fascinating in creating her literary work. Only 13 years old, she could have done her first drama. Briony was trying to turn her literary work into a lively drama. With 3 siblings in her house at this moment, twin brothers and her sister Lola. Servant, Danny, eavesdropping outside, accidentally interrupted their practice. Lola took this excuse to rest a while and get out of the room. There was a bee outside the window attracted Briony. She was very surprised because her sister Cecilia was putting off clothes in front of a servant, Robbie Turner. She was too scared to continue seeing, but she was still curious about it. When she saw again, her sister climbed from the lake. She thought that Robbie had some dangerous behaviors with her sister. She didn't know that they had an argue in the lake. At that time, handle of vase dropped in the lake. Cecilia had to put off her clothes and jump into taking it. That vase was prepared for the party welcoming her brother Lion back home. When he came back, he took an important guest, the rich owner of producing chocolate company Paul Marshall. We may guess that Robbie is the son of the housekeeper. From the conversation between Lion and Paul, after the housekeeper left Robbie and his mom, the master had mercy to him. He allowed Robbie and Cecilia to study at the same university, Cambridge. Both of them felt in love with each other, but Robbie had inferiority because he just was a servant, so that he always kept a distance with Cecilia. At Lion's home, Paul wanted to flirt Lola because of her slim body and beautiful face. Lola also had some special feeling with him. In another action, Robbie was writing an apologize letter for Cecilia. He writes a lot of draft letters, including a love letter, but he did not dare to send it. He puts it aside because he just writes for fun. Ultimately, Robbie still wrote a sincere apology letter to her. He changed clothes and left the house. On the way he met Briony, so he asked her to give the letter to his sister. When she was gone, he found out. He gave the wrong pornography. What Robbie was worried about happened. Briony stole the letter. She is young, so she doesn't understand what is love. She just felt disgusting and claimed that Robbie was a pervert. She still gave the letter to her sister. When she read the letter, she just thought, this is an adult-style confession. So before the party starts, they met at the library, cuddled and honestly expressed their feelings for each other. Briony accidentally witnessed that scene. They just shyly left. The more she became convinced that Robbie was a pervert. In the middle of the party, the twins left a letter behind and left home. Briony was the one who discovered that letter. When everyone is looking for the 2 missing brothers, Briony accidentally discovered Lola's clothes in a mess. A man who was pulling his pants rushed away. Lola sobbed. She firmly believed that it was Robbie. Lola was confused, also silently admitted. When the police investigated, Briony said he witnessed that person was Robbie. Of course, Cecilia didn't believe Robbie did, but Lola also admits that the one who raped her was Robbie. The police took him away. Actually, because of jealousy, Briony denounced Robbie. But she didn't expect it to change the life of his sister and brother. In 1939, World War II broke out. Robbie was released from prison on condition to join the military. Cecilia had a fierce argument with her family to become a nurse in a London hospital. Before leaving, they met again in London. Robbie has always lived in misery because of the injustice. Cecilia cannot be with her lover. She even cut off contact with her family. Robbie must go to fight, so he does not dare to accept her deep love. But she told him, I'll wait for you to come back. When the 2 of them kissed goodbye, Cecilia handed him a photo of the seaside mansion. Wait for your return, we will go there to live happily together. After that, Cecilia got in the car and went back to the hospital. Robbie chased after the car until he couldn't see it anymore. 6 months later, Robbie and his teammates lost their team. He reviewed the photo and thought of Cecilia waiting for him to come back. But he was hit by a bullet, forced to quickly heal. In the old wooden house, he and his team met the Jews hiding in the basement. When talking about the past, Robbie just showed a helpless smile. He did not know how to explain to them the reason for going to prison. During a trip through the forest, he saw girls die tragically. He remembers Briony, a beautiful past. He involuntarily cried. In fact, he soon forgave her. Turns out she also has a crush on Robbie. Out of jealousy, she hated him. Robbie and his teammates kept going. Finally he found the company. The scene before his eyes overwhelmed him. That is Dunkirk Beach, where 30,000 British-French coalition forces were waiting to be discharged. A whopping half of the boats carried soldiers. To leave the fronts were all attacked by German troops. Robbie has only one thought, that is to survive to return. Married to Cecilia, living happily until the end of his life. The soldiers are here, no matter the circumstances. They all had only one hope of going home. They sang loudly toward the sea. Robbie's wound got worse and worse. He went around looking for water. In the dream, he was allowed to go home. Besides, Mom was washing his feet. Robbie told his mom that he had to go home. Cecilia is waiting for him to come back. The teammates took him to the cellar to rest. At this time, his injury was extremely serious. He can't walk anymore. In the darkness, he took Cecilia's photo. He lit the match and looked at it passionately. "Wait for me, Cecilia, I definitely have to go home." The flame slowly faintly disappeared. His eyes also closed. The days of sadness and unjustness have also ended. In his heart only love for his family and Cecilia. Briony is now 18 years old. She gave up the opportunity to attend Cambridge University. She became a nurse at St. John's Hospital, Thomas, London. Every night, after turning off the lights, she hides in the attic to write a novel. When a colleague asked, she said, about a young girl who doesn't understand what makes a mistake. Briony has always atonized for those mistakes, but forever cannot make up for it. She later writes to her sister and wishes to be forgiven. Returning from the battlefield, many wounded soldiers were taken to the hospital. Briony saw the scene. She just wished Robbie would return safely. Because she knows French, the head nurse takes care of the French soldiers. His name is Luke, and his time is running out. He just wants to find someone to talk to. He knows Briony's whole family. Know both about Robbie and Cecilia. Luke tells about the past of him and his mother. In a coma he asked Briony, "Do you love me?" Briony sincerely replied, "I love you." The next day, she saw it on television. The Queen welcomes the owner of chocolate maker Paul Marshall. And his marriage partner is Lola. Briony hurried over to their wedding. But they just hurriedly passed her. Scenes from the past gradually appeared before her eyes. Actually, she saw the man's face clearly that day. He's not Robbie but Paul. Lola cannot denounce her husband. Briony also has no way to get Robbie to appeal. She later goes to her sister's house to admit a youth mistake. Cecilia forgave her. At this time, Robbie also came out from the bedroom. He has returned from the battlefield. Briony explained to him, but he angrily asked her. He cannot forgive her lies. He asked her to admit it in court. Cecilia advised him. Briony anxiously left. Finally, Robbie and Cecilia can live happily together. But all was just Briony's imagination. Years later, she was getting old. She became a famous writer. Confession is the end of her autobiography. Although she is old, her memory is weak, but she is still unable to escape regrets in the past. The book's ending, she admits, is not real. In fact, in 1940, on the last day on the coast of Dunkirk, Robbie died of a blood infection while waiting to be discharged from the military. In his hand, still clutching Cecilia's photo. Cecilia also died a few months later from the bombing of Balban Station. Caused a flood that killed everyone who was staying in the station. Briony hopes that reuniting them in the novel help her pay them back the happiness they deserve. The final scene shows us. It seems that in the afterlife they are also happy together.